This week brings supportive energy, some opportunity for healing, and a slow and steady approach to our mind and communications. If you've been feeling like your mind has been moving in rapid fire, that is thanks to Mercury and Aries, and we finally get some slowdown as it moves into Taurus. Welcome back to the Hello Fluid Collective podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and I love connecting all things astrology and small business. And I do so by connecting the astrology transits that are happening each week to how you might be able to apply them to your business. But if you're not a business owner, don't worry, because I still give little tidbits on how everyone can tap into this energy. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter so that you can get the free month ahead horoscope. You can also find it here wherever you're listening, but my blog post has a little section at the bottom called Spicy, Supportive, and Dynamic Days, where it lists out all of the transits happening for that month. So you can kind of plan ahead if you're planning an event or a trip and you have a little flexibility throughout the month. You can pick which days to avoid if you don't want to have any snafus. Or if you can't plan around it, then it's nice to have a little foresight so you can be slightly more prepared. All right, let's go ahead and get into the astrology for this week. We're talking about the astrology 5th through May 11th. And there's not too much going on. The first day that we have an exact transit is Monday, May 5th, and that's Mercury forming a sextile to Jupiter. This is a lovely transit. It's really supportive, and it's here to bring optimism and expansiveness and generosity into the way we're communicating and thinking. Jupiter can also be rather social, so it could be a day where we're just feeling extra chatty, we feel like socializing, we feel like getting out there and having some wonderful, happy conversations with people. I will say this might be a good energy to have some harder conversations with people because with this transit, they might go better than you expect. People can be a lot more open-minded with this energy. I will note it's not a great energy for planning the nitty-gritty details because it's really easy to miss out on some little details and to be a little bit too overly optimistic. So just be mindful of the things that you're committing to under this energy because once it passes, you might realize that, oh, you know what? It's actually not going to work out. I didn't think about that. It's also a good day for thinking about the future and making some high-level plans for the future. Not concrete plans, but maybe, I don't know, daydreaming a little bit about what you want to do, daydreaming about a trip that you might want to take. Putting together some fun little elements rather than actually booking the things. You know what I mean? As for business owners, this is a great energy for brainstorming under. Again, not making all the plans, not detailing, but get out a whiteboard with your team or one person you trust and just dream about all the things that you want to do. It's just wonderful energy for playing around with ideas for the future. The next day that we have exact transits is Tuesday, May 6th, and there's two of them. The first one is Venus forming a sextile to Pluto. Now, again, we are still in Venus retro shade, which means we're going over the same path that Venus did before and during the retrograde. So that makes this connection the third and final connection that these two have had since January. So with that, it brings an element of closing out a cycle, closing out the loop, finality of those sorts. And it brings closing out the cycle in relation to going deep within our relationships, uncovering hidden truths in our relationships and our finances, as well as our value systems. So that means the things, why we value them, uncovering what our connection is to those things. And it's great to do that because then we can grow a deeper connection to those things. It builds this deeper understanding. It can also help us uncover some things in our subconscious that are related to our self-worth. And all this is done in a more supportive way rather than a square, which is more like, I'm going to present you with all the problems. It may not present you with the problems, but if you're intentional about creating time and space to dive into these things, then you could really go further with it. Usually with sextiles, we have to put in the effort. We have to go seeking for it in order to find the answers or the next steps or the person that can help us out with the situation. This can also bring an energy of just loving really passionately. So if you have a boo, a friend that you just want to douse with love and appreciation, this is a great day to do that on. It's fun for sex as well. Lastly, it's also an energy that can really help you align your aesthetics with your authenticity. Venus rules the way we look, the way we present ourselves, our aesthetic, and Pluto likes to connect it with our authenticity. It's about going and being real, not being superficial. And so if you want to play around with some looks on and around this day to see what actually feels good to you, there's support to do that. As for business owners, on that same vein, analyze your aesthetic and your branding. Pluto really loves to analyze and go deep into all the information. And so you could do a little audit on your branding, put together some things that help you see everything right in front of your face, and make sure it's still in alignment with what you want your messaging to be. Now is the time to make some changes if you were kind of thinking about that, whether they're huge changes like a complete rebrand or even just a little thing like, I don't know, maybe changing the font on your graphics on Instagram or changing the background on your website banner. I don't know, just little things like that. They could really make a big difference to you and the people who come visit your page. Later on that day, we have Mercury forming a conjunction to Chiron. This could go a few ways. This could have us really thinking about and talking about our deeper, inner, longer lasting wounds. And this might be uncomfortable for some people. It could really have us focusing a little bit too much on it and like talking and venting about it rather than looking at ways to integrate what we've learned from them. Makes sense. There is also energy to integrate and process our wounds. There's also energy to heal and go deeper on our healing journey through communication with this energy. So maybe that's talking with somebody, talking with a therapist, talking with yourself through journaling, writing about it. Maybe you're writing a fictional story or a play that helps you process the situation. Anything like that where you can communicate in all the different ways. You know, it doesn't just mean talking out loud to somebody. There's lots of ways we can communicate. We can communicate through dance as well too. Those kind of things can help us process these wounds. That is available with this energy. So you really have the power to choose how you're going to utilize this energy. Are you going to spiral or are you going to move through it? And again, it's not always easy to just move through it, but now that you have this foresight, if you do experience that moment of spiraling, you can stop yourself, use it as an invitation to say, okay, let me do something to process this through communication of some sort. And with the Mercury sextile Jupiter energy we have from before, from the day before, maybe you're having a conversation with somebody that may bring you to the next step in your healing process with that. Only if it feels right to you. As for business owners, I would suggest to use this energy to get vulnerable with your team or your audience, whatever it may be, because this is energy that allows us to have the words in how to share our vulnerability effectively. And it's also really healing to talk about the things that we have gone through and how we've gotten through it. Kind of makes it more tangible in a way and reminds yourself that you did make it through and now you have this opportunity to share that with other people. And honestly, I feel like people like vulnerability. I know maybe in more of the male culture, it's seen as a weakness. I know nothing about this, but I feel more and more people are appreciative of the authenticity that comes with being vulnerable. So this is a good energy to practice what that looks like and what that feels like for you. The last exact transit that we have is on Saturday, May 10th, and that's Mercury moving into the sign of Taurus. When Mercury was in Aries, it's moving a lot faster. It's about starting new things. It's about doing it now, thinking about it later. There's more direct decision making, a bit more impulsivity. And when Mercury moves into Taurus, it shifts gears and it slows down a little bit and it looks at what has been working and how can I stick to that. We've already been in Taurus season. The sun is currently in Taurus, so we already got this dose of slowing down and figuring out what works and sticking with it. And now with Mercury moving into that, that brings our mind and communication into that energy as well. So Taurus loves comfort, it loves luxury, it's all about our senses. So if there's any way that you can combine your mind with your senses, this is really great energy for that. So learning something new like cooking or art or gardening or anything where we can use those senses, learning how to make music, that could really tickle the energy of Mercury and Taurus. I do want to note Taurus is notoriously known for being stubborn. It is a fixed sign, it's an earth sign, it's very grounded in its spot. So this could be an energy for being really stuck in our own opinions, which, hey, sometimes that's really good. Sometimes it's good to understand your values. Taurus also rules your values and sticking to them. There's nothing wrong with that, except for when we're completely closing out other people's ideas and we're not even considering them a little bit. So all of that openness that comes at the beginning of the week, that may start to slow down, especially one, because the transits are passing, but also with Mercury moving into Taurus. So yes, tap into what your values are and stick by those, but still practice being open to other people's and understanding where they're coming from. Also with this, we may be thinking and talking a bit more about money and financial stability. So it's our annual reminder to tap into the things that can make us more secure, bringing in logic into those things and figuring out a plan. I know that can get some people's panties in a bunch. It did for me at one point, just thinking about budgeting, but it is really important just to get realistic with where you are right now and seeing what you can do, even if it's making one small little change that can make you feel one step closer to financial stability. Trust, I understand how triggering that can be for people. I'm sorry if you're one of those. I really, truly am. Because like I said, that was me. I feel you. Either way, if you are thinking about this, use it as an opportunity to take that step further and maybe take a step away from how it might make you spiral a little bit. Not saying that it won't ever make you spiral, but what is one thing you can do to prevent your mind from spiraling when you think about finances, if that happens to you? Okay, folks, that's it for this week. Not too bad, right? Nothing too tense. I'll take that. Next week, we have some more intense transits, so let this week just soak in. And I know it's hard to go out and look for things to learn and look for things to enhance when they're not smacking you right in the face, but I promise you it's well worth it. So for all of these textiles, go out and do that little bit of effort that can help you take a step further in that little cycle that you're going through, because astrology is all about cycles, right? Because when we get to the square, if you don't do anything now, that square is really gonna hurt. All right, that's all I'll say. Have a beautiful week, and until next time, stay hella fluid, y'all.
Love it.